Okay, we've got audio already. Let's see. Can you see me? I think you see me perfectly well. Very well. Let us begin. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious, already a bit more lukewarm day of Shabbat, from California, the US of A, today being the 20th of Elul, which is the sixth month of the year 5994 from creation, corresponding to the 13th of September of the year 2025, we have another Shabbat of Elul. So then we're going to look for the moon later. And we shall study another chapter of the Spirit of the Feast 48, where we talked about many things, not just about the Spirit of the Feast, but about many things that take place in our life, in our surroundings, and things that we see in life, prophetically speaking, the things that are going on as we speak. And unfortunately, last Shabbat, we were not able to wrap up the subject, and I really lament it. We couldn't close it because the internet left, and it didn't come back until we had already finished, and there was no time to come back and do another video. So then I'm very sorry that it was left that way, and I really, I saw it really gave me lots of pleasure to see all the typical terminations that I always give and read, and that you were writing below the subject, because it was precisely the closing of the subject, and the subject was left per se kind of in the air of how we see life. If we look for positive things or half positive things of life, and that is how we fix our existence, trying to hide and not see what actually is negative in life. So then I didn't want to leave you with the posture of that we have to be a negative group that sees everything as negative, that we shouldn't look at anything as positive. We're going to talk a little bit about that just to wrap up that subject. Brian, can you please accommodate those flowers a little bit this way? Many thanks for the flowers. I always forget to thank you for them. They're so precious. There you go. Perfect. Thanks to the Roblero lineage. Many thanks for them. Do you know how those flowers are called? I didn't know, but I forgot. Are they chrysanthemums? Something like that. They're very pretty. So then, I'll talk a little bit about it, but let us begin with the subject. They're chrysanthemums, right? What a rather spectacular name, Chris. Chrysanthemums. Chris. It's a very pretty name. Yes, of course. Chrysanthemums. Very well. Without an L, right? Chrysanthemums? Chrysanthemums. Spectacular name. So then, many thanks for the flowers, not just those, but of every Shabbat, which is a detail that I do not mention, but it gives it such an ambient that if they're missing, it's different. So then I thank you for it, at least if it's just every now and then that you bring every Shabbat. The Roblero lineage, both Minto and Haiti. So then many thanks. Very well. This week, the following members of the Eternal Truth have had a birthday, which are Renesis Fletes Correa, Nicaragua; Giselle Carolina Jaspe, Venezuela; Elinda Bid Lopez Pineda, Colombia; David Emilanio Guerrero Ramos, Mexico; Leah Hitzel Rincon Perez, Venezuela; Raquel de Calderon, the Dominican Republic; Elizabeth Filio Miranda, Mexico; Rodolfo Perez, Chile; and Hector Martinez, which is here with us today and will be celebrating your birthday, Hector. To each and every one of you, very happy birthday, a great big hug on behalf of the entire Eternal Truth, and may you have many, many blessings on behalf of all of us. What I put up here, which is precious, it is a gift that got here a bit late, not because it was sent late, but because it just arrived late. Amazon apparently had it a little bit late, and it's from Josias and Graciela, and they let me know that it was from them because we didn't know whom it was from, and it is spectacular. Many thanks, Josias and Graciela. It is a tree of life, kind of abstract, and it's got the bokeh colors. I don't know if that's why you bought them, but it's spectacular. It's got blue, it's got gold, spectacular. It is precious. I love it. The whole blue tone, it is spectacular. This tree of life, precious. It gives life to any room or any environment in a house. I loved it. So then today, we'll be enjoying the whole entire subject today because I like that bokeh plays tomorrow. It has nothing to do with the tree, but with the colors it does. Bokeh plays tomorrow against Rosario Central over there in the Gigante of Arroyito in their house. And it'll be a difficult game, but I have faith. I always have faith, absolutely faith that Boca can fade, even if we play like dog shit with the sick coaches that we have and wheelchairs and everything. That and all we can win. So tomorrow we win against Rosario Central, a game that is rather fundamental because of the points to see if we enter or not into the classification of the general line for the Copa Libertadores, of course, or if we don't want to, the South American. But this year, Boca didn't play any cups, a disaster. While everybody laughs, they laugh at us. They say, "Where's Boca?" So then we'll see. Russo, he's still not doing well, but apparently he's going to travel. They didn't let him travel along with the whole team, but it'll be taken in a car. He didn't really guide the Boca. I don't know what's Boca doing. I don't know what Riquelme's doing. Really ashamed for Russo as a person. I really feel bad for him. But when you can't physically fulfill your responsibilities, you got to be replaced. I really don't get it. But taking Boca out, which we play tomorrow, this tree is rather precious. A tree of life with the colors that are so spectacular. Tell the truth, I loved it. It is rather precious, and it is a birthday present. Look, I got the book that I haven't read yet because I had many things to do. Happy World, a Brave New World, which, tell the truth, I don't even know what it's about. I know that it's kind of like a novel in a world that seems to be a disaster, that it's all ruled by a certain government, that there's no justice, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, there's the book. I'll go ahead and read it. Very well. That's the book that I talked about last week. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, last Shabbat we talked about how we should not look at the half-empty glass as if it were the half full but half empty. What was I referring to with this? What I meant is that it's not enough. Once we grow in wisdom, we open our eyes to look at reality around us. It is not enough. At least in my point of view, and this is my opinion, you can do however it would go in your life, but for me, it is not good, nor does it help me grow as a person to look at the small positive details of life as if how beautiful that the sun came out and I enjoy the sun. What a beautiful flowers and the birds, and to try to minimize, to close your eyes to pain, disaster, the curses, that the people die, that grow old, that the birds are singing one day and next day they're on the floor, or they got eaten by a cat, or they died of old, or a bigger bird and they grabbed them in full flight. That is half empty kind of view. How beautiful it's the bird, and then I see the death of a bird in the hands of another bloody animal that wants to eat him. And that is the world in which you say, I'm sure that I have to focus on the positive ones that would seem positive and not the negative ones. So then what's the solution to all this? To no longer exist? Of course, I mean, because if we live in a world that is completely awful, not beautiful, it is a prison where everything's dying, where we're all poisoned, where we have a master that cursed us all, and is not willing to bless us, any one of us. He blesses the wicked. He blesses the wicked, helps the wicked so that the wicked can rule over us, so they can massacre us, so that the wicked can subjugate us, and we cannot start to look at the small details as positive. When we see that the world is like that, it would be to deceive ourselves for a time of enjoying the small things. For what? To continue in this same world designed that is torture. So then, in what should we look upon? That is the part where I forgot to close the subject with last time. We should focus in our personal victories. Not about if a bird is singing or not, but or if the sun comes out or not, because the sun is coming out and burning things and killing everything. It's deplorable, everything that happens. What is the positive part that I could always focus on 100%? It is when I make a positive change in my way of thinking, in my reality. Those are the changes that are not half full glass, but a completely full glass. All the other things are deceiving, because all the other things are a part of our kidnapper. The sun is not there to give you life, but to kill you. Now that it gives you life for a time, but it ends up killing you, because it's got its benefits and it's got its curses. Everything has its benefits and its curses. So then what things could I notice when I get an objective that satisfies me and that I've become better in? When there is a curse on behalf of the Creator in my life, I see it, I fight against it, and I obtain a personal victory that is 100% to think about it and to be happy about, because we are in a fight. We do not accept the Creator of anything, nor do we thank Him for anything. We're not here to thank Him for life or death or the sicknesses or the curses, nothing. The Creator is not worthy of being thanked for anything, not even your opportunity of living here, because it is like a person that is kidnapped against their will, and it says you're not going back to your house anymore. You're going to live here, you're going to be subjugated, and you start to thank that person, that kidnapper. Thank you for feeding me, because I am imprisoned in your dominion. I have no freedom, but you feed me at least. So I have to thank you for the food you give me. I have to thank you for the water you give me every day, even if it's dog shit. But I thank you, because if you were to not give it to me, I would already be dead. So then that is the way in which the whole world thanks God. Thank you for the food and everything, when around you there are millions of people that don't have food, and they literally starve to death, as in Gaza, as many other people that have died. No matter if they're not present, they have already died in this world, starved to death. And you are being grateful to God for the food that you have, as if to say, thanks for feeding me, and you took it from the other guy died. And oh well, I'm sure he was evil, or he deserved it. For sure he was not a chosen like I am. You feed me, that is why I've told you. We cannot thank God for anything. Every time we thank God, we are agreeing that He has killed millions, starved to death. We do not take into account that He's an assassin that drowns, kills, destroys millions of people which are alive and that have already died because of Him. Every time we thank Him for something, once we're become conscious of that and aware of it, we start to thank ourselves. If we achieve victory over that, when we have something that the world calls sickness and we overcome it, it is our victory. It was not God. Before you would say, God, please heal me, let it be thy will. Always the most enslaved mind, thy will be done, thy will be done. And we know what his will is. They're all dead. Look back. Just look back 100 years in the past. They're all dead. They're all dead 6,000 years ago. They're all dead. So then look at the result of serving God. They're all dead. Just like that. Dead. Absolutely dead. Prophets, not prophets. Kings, not kings. Poor or not poor. Chosen, not chosen. They're all dead. There's no one alive. So then, stop thanking God for life, because millions of people have already thanked him for you, and they're dead. They're dead. So then start to thank yourself for victories that you win. Victories that you win. And so then we go into nature. God gave you a bad nature, an evil nature that's inclined to do evil, but it's not because you developed it to do evil. No, it's inclined to do evil. Speaking about the birds, there's a bird that came to visit me right there in the window. It's inclined to do evil, your nature is. So then, when you win a victory over your nature that's inclined to do evil, and you subjugate it, it is a victory to celebrate. Those are the things which we must enjoy. Not the things that God gives you, but because it's kind of like the little candy. Then you have this backstab. You can't thank him for the little candy when all of the little candies are poisoned that he gives you. They're all poisoned. What you have to thank yourself for is thank yourself and people that have helped you. People that have helped you to be a better person. That is the only thing that's worth anything in life. God, you have to take him completely out of our true or false gratefulness. Got to take him out. Take him out. Every time you thank him, you're reaffirming that the rest deserve it. Farewell. So then, how should we live? By making ourselves better. Just like that. That is what it is to live with glory. That is what it is to live with glory. By bettering ourselves. Every victory upon our nature that has been given, that is what it is to live with glory. I'd like to remind you that we've got a free service. He who needs help to try to identify and start in a path of personal winnable victories, you've got Angelina's Consult. For all those of you that need this service, it is free. You get in touch with Angelina's Facebook, which is found in the description of this video. This week, the world, especially the US, almost the entire world, was shocked with the killing of Charlie Kirk. Who was Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was a preacher, quote unquote, a preacher of Christianity. He was Christian, of Zionism, of Trumpism, in other words, of Trump, of the extreme right wing, of all of the biblical principles, of all that. And another young man shot him and killed him. The whole entire story that has to do with his assassination, you know how I think about it. Everything could be manipulated. That doesn't matter. I'm not going to analyze it because I don't know that. Since I don't know. But the official story is that a Mormon young man that was normal, a square, brought up with a mother and father. His dad was even a cop. They brought him up correctly. What happened? He entered into college and then university, and what happened? He went against the supposed fascists and all the rest that rule over us, and he determined that the best thing that he could do is to take his life of this young man that had a different message than his. That is not acceptable in every aspect of our lives, because we could care less what another person thinks or speaks about. To take someone's life is such a violence that we are waiting for it to end. The Christians have that violence because they want to exterminate all who do not believe like they do or who do not accept their Christ and everything that they believe in. So then that demonstrates clearly what the Christians are. And they want to crush and do away with everything but this man, young man. I think he was 32 years old. 31 or 32 years old. 31? Charlie Kirk would preach, and when I talk about preaching, it's not that he was a preacher in churches, but a preacher of his message. He would preach in universities and all the rest, on TV and interviews, an activist that Trump used and helped him to go up to be re-elected. Very good way of speaking, with a very good presence, with such a vocabulary that was very attractive, and with such a logic that is very powerful. He had a central message. His message was that there shouldn't be a separation between the state and the church. That was his final message. That was, he was desperate to impose upon everybody that those who wrote the Constitution of the U.S. of A. had in mind always the concept of God, which was Christians who wrote the Constitution of the U.S. for Christians, not to rule atheists or to rule other religions, but it is a country by Christians for Christians and should only work for Christians and by Christians. That is what the guy would preach. That the church and state should have never been separated. It is only one unit, as he says, that should be imposed. That the rulers, the educators, the judges, and the whole legislative system, and even the whole system of entertainment should be Christian in order for them to be able to exercise. Politicians, legislators, educators, and entertainment should all be Christians. Otherwise, they would have no right to speak before the people and exercise influence. The problem is that we have left about being in the state and being in entertainment and to be in the systems of education and in the legislative educative systems that are not Christian, that don't have the values of God, that don't have fear of God, that do not keep the Bible, and that's why we are the way we are, and we have to go back to unite the church with the state. That's the worst thing that could happen, and every time that has happened, there has been massive deaths because the state, civil state, cannot have a religion. But this young man didn't understand it that way, and he would preach so that we would go back to uniting the state with the church, and that the norms of the church be national laws. We can see what happened in Israel when the state and the church were just one alone. Precisely, that's what happens. Deaths, massively. Respect to gods above all things, or the interpretation of their God, and all the rest. What else did this guy think about? He was ultra-Zionist, not Zionist, but ultra-Zionist, Christian and Zionist. At the end, he started to question certain things of Zionism, which was precisely when his life ended. Some people say that, yeah, it could have been vengeance because nobody can turn from Zionism. It could all have happened, but his whole preaching of his whole life was ultra-Zionist, anti-feminism. In other words, for him, women should be at home, and men should be the one to go out and work, and women to have the children, and everything that a machista thinks about. But so as to not say machismo, we say anti-feminist. So then the guy was a complete anti-feminist. No matter if it's good or not. I mean, I'm talking about what he would speak about: anti-abortion, that nobody has the right to abort what is in their body once it is begotten. That is what the guy would preach. That's why he had so many enemies. And here in California, in a whole bunch of videos, that some young men that are celebrating that he died. I'm completely against that. Against any violence act and assassination. It is completely unacceptable. That's the way it is. Absolutely contrary to the reason, logic, justice, everything. Everyone can speak whatever they want. Whatever they want. And for everyone to do whatever they want. That is my way of thinking of human beings. Once a human being see that there's truth somewhere else, let them go see it, but not by obligation, nor by, because it is prohibited for them to speak against certain people. So then, it was shocking. The country is completely shocked here still with what has happened. But that demonstrates such violence that we no longer want to see. This could beget even more violence because the country is paralyzed, because many desire to see this young man die with his message, and some others didn't. What happens is that now, amongst all of them, they're kind of looking for some sort of vengeance to do, but these are the kinds of things that sometimes awaken civil wars, those who are in favor and those who are against. Those who are in favor of the message of this guy's, they see him as a victim, and when you see a victim, you want vengeance, and the other party celebrates. So what we have is what could be is actually a point of lots of struggle, but we're sick and tired of all this. Tell the truth, we reject absolutely everything. Anyway, there you have it. These people speaking, we're speaking today while we were enjoying some things that they brought that were delicious. The message of last Shabbat, which also was cut off, which was I was talking about, like all the last messages, because still I don't think that there's the message is not taken root deeply in our being, that our Creator that exists, which is a being, created us and cursed us. And our only hope is to crush his head. There's no other way of thinking. Or to make him disappear, trying, but not to be a part of all whom ally themselves to him. I know it is difficult, and I've repeated this many times. It is very difficult to take into the internal nature of ours that our Creator, which we've always prayed to in the way that you have prayed to, in whatever way you imagine, may actually be the one to blame for everything, and that we have to wish for, and we do wish for him to come out of his post as God. It is difficult because they've always made us believe that God is the Savior, and that he saves us through his Son, Jesus Christ. That's why he sent him then. So then, speaking about those curses that he gave us, when he told man, well, he told the woman that all his desire would be for the man, and that the male would take control of her. That is something, a curse that he pronounced, but which became one with the nature of both men and women, not just of man, but of man and women. They were both left accursed, one depending on the other, one that would take control of the other, and she that would, I don't want to say become the victim, because they're both victims of this. She would be the subjugated one. The subjugator, which was the man, and the subjugated, which was the one. They're both big victims, because neither of the two wanted to enter into that role. That role was imposed by Yahweh and taken into our nature. The same thing as the woman has labor pains. There's nothing that she can do to avoid it. We, human beings of this era, have discovered that with anesthesia you can make that pain go away. It doesn't mean that it goes away, but it's that part is asleep. The pains are not felt, but they're there. Or you do a cesarean, which is a different system, but both things, anesthesia and cesarean, they go against our nature. So then it has some sort of repercussion, and even worse, cesarean has some repercussion, and also anesthesia. They are just band-aids to cover something of which the problem has not been eliminated, because the pain is there. There's nothing that man can do to eliminate the pain of birth. There's nothing. But this example that I'm giving you is the example of the curse between men and women. This subject that I'm speaking to you about, that also was a part of last Shabbat subject, men and women, by design, have a curse of which they cannot break away. And if they try to go against that curse, the only thing they gain is to kind of fake certain things, to change certain things, but the curse is still there, and both people get to an unhappy ending. How do I explain this? And these are my words, of my opinion, of what I observe in life, of what experience has given me, of observing, understanding, trying to comprehend what God has done, of trying to understand His curses, and of seeing how humans have acted. In order to try to understand why, without blaming humans, of trying to understand why. And God has been so hair-raisingly evil that what He did to us, if we do not get to achieve it, it's got its consequences. It's got its consequences. And they are not good, for it is to go against nature. And when I say nature, it's part of that curse, because that is how and this is our nature that He gave us. And our nature is the one that contains those curses, and we are a part of that curse. So then when we want to break away from it, things happen which they are not what we look for. It would seem that it's an anesthesia. Like when we spoke about anesthesia, the pain is still there. and the harm to the tissue is still there. So then the pain returns. The pain returns. We can put a mask over it, but there's no solution. In other words, anesthesia is not a solution. It's not a solution. You just masked it, but it didn't. Your nature didn't change at all. So then, the subject that I'm going to speak with, take it with a grain of salt. It'll be just in 2 minutes. It's not today's subject. I had to wrap this up from last time. The thing that I'm speaking about today, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone take it as you wish. These are not words of God, of course, because the words of God are accursed. They are of my observation of what I understand, of what I see. God is so wicked. He played with us so much that when he said in a human form, when he was in the body of the one that made himself be called Jesus of Nazareth, he looked at men and he said, do you know, as you know, and that it was written, that anyone that commits adultery with a woman is, what's the phrase? Can you tell me what the phrase is? What is it said that'll happen? That you fornicated in his heart? What's the words? Let's read it correctly. Because this is, it's such an insult that Christianity has used so much. That is why I feel so much nausea against Christianity. They have destroyed the accursed nature that we have, has taken advantage of that nature, and they have made people suffer a lot more. Let us go to, I'm looking for it, Matthew chapter 5. It says, number 27, ye have heard, in other words, it's been written, that it was said to them of old, thou shalt not commit adultery. You know that. He's saying, he's speaking not to the world, but to the Jews that know the law. He's quoting precisely the seventh commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. So it says, you know, you have heard clearly that it's been said, written, thou shalt not commit adultery. He says, but careful. I have something else to tell you to fuck up your life completely so you understand. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Therefore, if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. In other words, he played in a way that is so malicious with the nature of men. For what reason? Because men, as I've heard in the words of a sexologist, that I like the way that he explained it. I've always explained it in that way, but I like the words that he chose, and I'll copy his words because I liked it. But it's not that he changed my way of being, because I've explained it that way always. In every man, there is a macho, there's a male, and in every woman, there is a female. What is a male? It is the primitive nature, taking out your conscious mind. It is your primary nature, that one that makes you breathe, that makes you get hungry, the one that makes you want to go to the bathroom, your needs, the one that makes you sleepy. Those are your primitive needs. And there are many others. Emotions, fears, a whole bunch of things. Territory, but taking all that out. Let's simplify it. In every male human, there is a macho. It's the primitive, and in every woman, even if she's delicate, pretty, smart, there is a female within. And the macho, the male, and the female don't look for love, but rather they look for what they have programmed to do, which is sex. That's the way it is. Because the human race survives thanks to sex. If we're here, it's because of sex. Parents had sex, grandparents had sex. If it weren't because of sex, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be talking here, we would no longer exist. So then, according to the sexologists, and this is what everybody consists of, and they coincide in the principal and main objective of man, it's sexual, because it is to prolong or to expand life. According to them, we are eternal, but through the spreading of life. We're not eternal, but we pass on the torch of life, and we're like an individual. Let's say the entire human race is an entity which is eternal, because from the beginning they will not die, because they still beget themselves. We are particles, as those of the skin, which live for a time, and they break away and they die, but the being is still living. So then we exist for and because of sex. The only thing that I could care less about life, both men and women, is sex. That is how the sexologists declare it. So then, I am completely in disagreement with that. Because for me, humans are a soul, a thinking soul, that does not need for any other human being to exist, because he's unique. No other human can replace him. Because every human being is unique. And if he did not have reproduction and lived forever, he's unique. And if he were to die, there is an eternal loss. That billions of people could not repair or fill or substitute that person. Because we are unique. Men and women, we're unique. Irreplaceable. Different. Everyone with their qualities that are unique. No matter if they're good ones, bad ones, give or takes, mediocres, ugly, pretty, short, tall, we're unique. Which transcends that individuality, it transcends sex, the gender that is, that defines us. Which our soul transcends that I am a male man. For me, the soul has no sex, no gender. We are an asexual individual. Let me declare this again. This is what I think. This is what I think. Not necessarily do you have to think like me, nor necessarily does it have to be completely true everything that I say, because the son of a bitch that created us doesn't give us information. So then we have to take our own conclusions. So then it really turns my stomach when I hear the people say, no, we are eternal through begetting children. No, none whatsoever. I'm not eternal. If I die, then it's lost. The world has lost of the existence and my eternity. No matter how many children I have, like Solomon said. That is why I've also read the text of Solomon. No matter how many children you have, what does it matter that you live 2,000 years begetting thousands of children? If you die, everything has died for you, because your life is not transferred to your children. You cannot think through your children. Your children, in turn, are unique. And they have to think in the same way that you think. I'm not saying that they're more important than your children, but that you're individual. Your children are individual. In individuality, there cannot be eternity in the system. So then, speaking of our soul, we now have, in my case that is, not yours, have a male body. Is my soul male? I have come to understand that no, absolutely not. Since we are created in the image of God, See, this is just logic. I'm not trying to say that it is so, because that would be to try to impose a thought of mine. It is my way of thinking, but the way I believe it, there's no other possibility. When, according to the Bible, God made a person of mud and they give him a gender or not, doesn't matter, but made a mud character and he blew life into them and it was a living being. What he blew, because the mud character wasn't a soul, wasn't anything, it was just mud. It was clay. So then, what he blew into him has no sex. Why do I say that he has no sex or gender? Because when he formed Eve, he took her out of his baculum, which we say that it's the bone that's missing in men. The problem that you have, or it's of the baculum, or from the rib, however you want to look. How many would want to have a baculum? With a baculum, you wouldn't need other things because it doesn't work all that well. But it's a bone that is missing in men. All the male animals have a baculum except for the human. How odd, right? Let's suppose it's a baculum or a rib. Either way, it doesn't matter. God didn't say that he blew again, but rather that out of the nature of Adam, who was already a man, he made a female. He made a female. He gave her a body of a female, but he took her the spirit of Adam, which evidently that we give spirit when we have a son. It's as if we create a spirit. We give it a body because we're like those gods. Of a part of the woman, which is an egg, to the part that the man places, which is the sperm, that is what we form a new being, which will be either male or female, depending on what the woman wants. That's the way it is. Modern science thinks that it's man, but no, women decide what it'll be. But taking out that subject, the spirit that is formed, it's not that as feminine or a male spirit comes along. No, it has no sex. It doesn't have a gender. Another proof that I'm going to give you, there are two proofs already, if you want to take them or not. Either way, it doesn't matter. Don't also shoot at me because you don't think like me. There's another proof that when God came to earth, God evidently doesn't have gender or has both. Either way, it doesn't matter to have them both or not to have either. It's exactly the same thing. Because he has the possibility of having both. Let's suppose that he has both. But that he's not male like we are, of course not. It would be limited. It'd be limiting. He'd be looking for a woman everywhere. Because we have a nature that needs a woman. In most of the cases, others need a man. But it is absolutely normal. It's not that it's produced now these last times. It comes from way before. They need a man because they have more attraction for men. Now, if you understand about the souls that have no gender, you can understand it a little bit better. But within most that look for the opposite sex, when God came to earth and he made himself flesh, he was not. He was not pure masculine. No, of course not. Of course not. Could he have become a woman? Yes, of course. But it wouldn't be convenient. It's hyper machista earth. How are they going to accept it? They didn't accept the male one. Imagine, I am the daughter of God. You know, she wouldn't even finish her ministry. She have to be saving herself every day not to be killed. The bitch, they would call her. That's how the people would call her. Just imagine. So then when God came, a being that has both sexes, or none, he took on a body that evidently was male. We agree on that, right? that is where you notice that it is a clear demonstration that the spirit that was behind that Yeshua was not male. Nope. Nope. Absolutely not. Had a male body, but the spirit was God, which has either both genders or none. And I believe he has both. So then, could he have taken on a male or a female body? Either way, it doesn't matter. What am I trying to say? That when he blew the breath of life into Adam and Eve, that could be male or female, but it enters a body that works as male, which was the body that he formed. So then, since it enters a body that is male and everything is designed, the brain, the organs, the muscles, and the programming to be a man. And the woman has everything, the brain, the organs, and also the programming to be a woman. And to top it off, then he comes and he curses us. He adds the programming. He adds by saying, you women will have to subjugate to your husband. Your whole entire desire shall be unto your husband, and your husband will take control over you. That is the curse that cannot be broken. So then, all our lives, it worked that man oppressed, violated, and abused women, but by design. Such a design, such as that you were to explain to a rooster, don't laugh, Minta, that you were to explain a rooster that it's bad that he steps on the chicken without asking her permission, without stepping on the other chickens. So then I have 2 roosters and 2 chickens, or 2 roosters and 10 chickens, and I tell them, okay, choose one. And then afterwards, you're going to just step on that one and none else. Do you think that the rooster is going to understand? Well, humans have a nature that is exactly the same thing. It's just that we have a conscience and a will that the rooster didn't have, which is the conscience, which is what actually makes us gods. Not just do we have the male within, the main male, all he wants is to have sex with all the ones he can. That is what the male wants. With all the ones he can, not just one. There's no love. There is a need of procreating the race. That is the need. There is basic primordially. Has nothing to do with love. Has nothing to do with love. And it begins with the baby, with his mother, like Freud discovered it. Maybe it's nauseous to you, or you can understand it's law. It is a law. Because the first woman that the man has is his mother. That is why it's so important to start to look for the limits. I've told you 1,000 times over, this isn't the education of the children. You have to take them out of the bed before they even notice. When in a matrimony, a male child is born at 6 months old, it should already be sleeping in a separate room when a child starts to take conscience, in other words, becomes more conscious of his world around him, and he is sleeping next to a woman that is his mother. Obviously, he starts to take possession of where he's living. That is why it's so important to separate the children, so that to give them a good. There are many things that with experience, the world has evolved in that. Others not so much. Others decided, no, I want my son with me in my bed, 3 years old, and they sleep, the mother, the son, if they can, or else the husband on the floor. But the baby has to sleep with his mother, because the mother is also subjugated to okay, taking all that out. So many things that we have to learn to be better human beings, and to actually be prepared for when these types of curses can be taken away. There is an effect. Women are less powerful than men, evidently. There's no discussion about it. There could be exceptions, because there could be exceptions. There could be a very, very small man and a very huge woman that can pick him up. I mean, that's clear. There are women that have muscles like this. There are women that are a lot stronger than men. I'm not talking about exceptions like that. I'm talking about what's normal. That man has a lot more muscle mass and more powerful than a woman and more resistant. Men resist pain a lot more. Women are going to jump up and say, no, you don't know what it is. No, you have not been in the body of a man. When a man has to work and has to really work like an animal, a woman cannot be at the level of a woman, of a man. I can show it to you in over 10,000 times, because it is part of the history. In tennis, when you play Grand Slams, it's 5 sets. And there are games that last 5 hours. 2 men playing to their maximum potential. Women can't work to 5 sets. They can't play professional. They can't play to 5 sets. They have to play to 3 sets only. And the ones that wins 2 sets has won it all. Why don't they play to 5 sets? They can't. That's the way it is. Physically, they cannot. And if they were to complete it, it's not the same thing. They've already lost. Either one gets injured, or they lost already. You see that they are tired, so then there's not a nice game. So then they decided to play 3 sets. Another example. I've already said this a million times over. Let's suppose that in a city, women turn around and say, we from here on out, we want to be the fire women of the city. They're, okay, that's fine. They're like, everything that men do, let women do too. Okay, they have to grab the hose, climb the ladders, and bring a man down on the stairs, down the ladders. And we do everything, they say. But it turns out it doesn't work out, because there's no physical capacity. One that has, because she had such hormones that are not natural due to certain conflicts that she had. She had more muscles, more strength. That's fine. But women generally cannot do what a man does. In war, you're going to hear 10,000 times cases of female heroes and all the rest. Women can't stand wars because the mentality of a man handles pressure more. It handles pressure more. It handles pain more. Handles more the insanity. A woman, of which there are exceptions, like I've always said, she cannot stand. She cannot stand. And she becomes unstably, mentally sick, because she cannot stand what men have to stand. Okay. The same thing as the pilots of war. There is a female pilot against most of them men, because women in the changes of the G changes, they can't stand those brutal changes of gravity changes. They lose their men also, but they get better at it. And the women, when they have their period, directly they cannot even get on the plane. It's prohibited, because they can lose their consciousness like that. So then they have weakness that they bleed, and it happens not once in life, but once a month. And they are unutilized once a month for those types of works. They can't do it. Aside from the fact that they have pain, they can't do it because they cannot even subjugate themselves to the pressure of a job that requires, like a pilot, to do what they have to do. There are female pilots. There is. Don't misunderstand me. There are exceptions, but mostly not. Mostly not. So then, what was actually the curse? Well, that was part of the curse. The greatest curse is that in order for a man to feel like a man and to feel good, he has to dominate the woman. I'm going to say something not so that you clip this, but so that you think. Women They're going to say, no, that doesn't happen to me. And you have to hear it and draw your own conclusions. Women does not become a woman realize if she doesn't have a man that is her dominator per se. But on the good side, not a dominator that grabs her by the neck. No, a protector that's strong, that she feels sure, of course, said with good, nice words, that she feels sure that she has a macho, that if somebody comes to attack her, he's strong to defend her. She protects herself behind him, and if any problem comes, he's going to go out and fix it. If there's something unexpected, I have my male that solves it. Of course, that comes accompanied with that he dominates me. It's everything for me. He's the one that's going to take over when something goes wrong. The last thing that woman wants is that when there's something unexpected and says, hey, can you fix that? Oh, no, you do something, my dear. I can't. There's some noise out there. No, I can't. You go to see what happens. There's some guy out there, and he's trying to get into the house. Oh, call the cops, because the last thing that a woman wants is to have a guy like that to be paralyzed before an adversity. She wants, I'm speaking. I want you to understand, I am not a machista in the sense of the word that it indicates, but I'm explaining the nature that God gave to men and women. Women want to be protected by man, and man wants to protect the woman. In that protection, of course, there's a dominion, because I am your protector, and she is the protected. There's a dominion. The man is bigger, and the woman is smaller. The man provides, and the woman has the nest, precious for the man. That is in the ideal. Nothing works. What happened with that man took even more possession of protector, and he became a dominator and an abuser. Not just of that woman, but of other women. That is where the word comes. Abuser, don't think that the word's like that. You already know that. But maybe there are some of you that understand what an abuser is. An abuser, the word in English and Spanish, whatever language, an abuser starts with av. The word av is in Hebrew, which means father. As you have there, in certain texts of Paul that says Abba, father. Abba, father means daddy. And Av is father. Abraham means father of many nations. The word Av is father. So abuser is referring to the first abuser of it all, the main one of every clan, was the father. And it's still being up until today. And when they talk about father, is father or great grandfather, was the father. Our father is your dad and your mom, and your father is your grandfather. So that in the family clans, the greatest abuse is not of a professor, no. It is in the family. Almost all of the children are abused in the family, either by the fathers, grandparents, or uncles. They're all abuser. The abuser, it is very odd that is someone that's unknown. What a chance that's a stranger have with a child. What chance that abuse comes in the home. That is why the word to abuse comes from the word father. And the first Av that we have, that is the son of a bitch that created us. He's the Av. He is the first abuser, the first father of them all that abused us all. It is very clear, absolutely clear. So then, since it was degenerated for that, but the original plan, the original curse is for man to be the protector, to be the sustainer, and to be the dominator of the woman. And the woman gets to her maximum point of happiness when she has a good protector per se, a good dominator per se, a good dominator that provides for her with everything, that gives her certainty and gives her everything she wants, but doesn't dominate, but rather is dominated by men. That is the curse. That is the curse. But there is no happiness in the woman if that is not achieved. And I'm speaking in the primitive part. I want you to understand now. When feminism comes along and all the defense of women, women start to say man is an abuser with just reason. Just reason. We're sick and tired of your demeaning, your abuse, your violation, all of your mistreatment with absolute right. So then, there is what happens is the anesthesia effect. Women start to say, from here on out, I'm going to work out outside. I could no longer care of keeping or taking care of the home. I'm a person because we have a mind that is not human, is not feminine or male or female. So then the women start to say, I want to work outside because I'm already sick and tired of being a slave at home. My grandma did it, my mom did it. I no longer want that to be here. I would like to work. If it's possible to study, what woman would not have wanted to study? If you ask a woman, your grandma, maybe your grandma, your great-grandma, the mind already closed for them to think. But maybe you ask yourself, and you're 40, 50, 60 years old, if you would not have liked to go back in time, change your life, and to have studied something that you can work in and that they respect you as a human being, because or else the only one that can respect you is your husband, if he will respect you in his way, which is demeaning and all the rest, but then no one else will respect you. Who's going to respect you? No one else will respect you. Your children can respect you, but no one else. Society, you're the woman of, always the woman of, but you're worthless except that you keep your home, you clean your house, you watch TV, you make the food, but you don't have a responsibility of saying, I'm an engineer, I designed that house. No. Well, how beautiful it would be to study engineering, to have studied and say, and I'm not speaking about doctors, but if they were good doctors, to say, I have a profession. I'm a designer, a graphic designer. I'm an interior designer. I'm a clothes designer. I'm a perfume designer. I'm an architect. I am, I don't know, a chef in a spectacular place. They look at me and they say, hey, here comes that specialty that makes food that is, well, a dream. Not that I have to cook for this son of a bitch that doesn't even thank for the food, or he's not even happy with it. Like, give or take, you needed some salt. But what if the woman, instead of having married and instead of having children and instead of having stayed at home, just abused by the husband, by God, and by everything? They said, no, I didn't want any of that. I wish I could have changed because of being something else in my life. Something else in my life. Something that gives me pleasure. A tennis player, for example. I look at the women playing, exercising, and I married you, son of a bitch. You ruined my body. I was 20 years old. I had a son. At 22, it was another one. And at 23, another. Give me 5 children, then you call me fat. And of course, now I look fat, ugly, looking for a baby here, taking care of another baby here, cleansing the house. And it's not enough. And the guy comes, he doesn't help me. And to top it off, he doesn't give me money, not even help or to make a better house. I live in misery. I tell him to take me out. I want to go somewhere. No, can't. He doesn't want to go out. Doesn't have money. Doesn't give anything. And then he comes with the face of an ass because in his work they don't give him anything. I would have changed all that for being a tennis player and to have played something that I like. That I didn't not to come and marry you. Or something else. A man, a soccer player. Or something about that makes you think, a writer. What if I had been a writer, I had studied letters, And I knew how to write, and I'm not speaking about the stupidity of artificial. I have to actually know how to write with your mind, to know how to write or to draw. How many things to create clothes, food. I have talent that has been thrown away. The mind of the woman starts to close and close and close, and she ends up a bitter, embittered woman that life went by her, and she just grew to bring up her children. Her better years of life, or 20 to 40, was just taking care of children. And then the kids left, and now she's an old hag that nobody even loved. Not even her husband wants her, because she's ugly, fat. She yells a lot. She is always complaining of everything, and the husband also, and it's time to get separated and to end up fucking it up. She gets menopause, her brain changes, becomes more masculine. She doesn't tolerate anymore what she used to tolerate before, and it's in Germanic medicines very well explained. Her brain changes. Once she stops menstruating, her brain changes. She no longer thinks like a woman, but like a man. Even the conflicts are different. They attack her differently. One that studies Germanic medicine knows that if you're going to treat a woman, you got to know whether or not she's already in the menopause stage or not, because he will treat her in a different way, because the conflicts either on the male side or the feminine side. So then it's a curse that's so great, so great. It's such a twisted thing that what happens is that the woman has lived frustrated. So then a movement has started lately, some years ago, that women want to do what they would like to have done, to study, work, and succeed on her own. Women no longer want to have children. They have learned with experience. What they want to do now is to work, and if they can, study. So then she starts to study, she has a career, she becomes a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a doctor, a medic, whatever career you will, or that she wills. Music. What if she has talent for music? Just imagine. All kinds of things that elevate you as a human being. All kinds of things that elevate you as a human being. So then, what happens is this. Now women are independent from men. And now they look for men that don't want to dominate them. They look for guys, types of guys, that they consider them at their height and equal help. They're not looking for a guy that protects them in anything, per se. They're not looking for that. If she's a doctor, she wants a doctor to be equal. It is odd that a doctor would marry a mechanic, or an engineer with a mason. It's very odd, very different professions. There are cases, but in the soul of the mason, he can't stand that he's the last. The building, she designs it. So then there's something that it's going to cause some sort of short circuit. But taking that out, so then women now look for something equal to her own height. Once she finds it, give or take, and they get married, they start to live thinking that they're going to have a super happy life, until the truth of life, the truth of this story, what I'm saying is that they're also not happy, because there is a curse within the woman that she needs to be dominated. Whether we like that, it's awful, that's the way it is. It's a curse. The same thing, no matter how much study you have, you're going to have labor pains unless you use something that men invented. But labor pains are there. No matter how much school you have, no matter what you do, you're going to have labor pains. So then women look for somebody at her own height, not so machista, somebody that respects her to the point that he asks permission for everything. He starts to do everything very equally spread in the house. So then if they have a son, they also say who takes care of the baby, who this and that. A little bit she takes care of it, and sometimes he does. He can't breastfeed her, or else he would. So then, because she says, I have to work, I'll leave you the baby, and he's 6 months old. So I'm going to go to work. We're doing a project with the engineer, this and that. I'm out of here. What time do you get back? I don't know, at night. I'll tell you, but I have to go. I have a meeting with my boss. So then the woman leaves into the meeting with the boss or whatever, and leaves the baby and the children to the husband. We think that we have advanced from the curse, and the truth of it all is that we are worse off than before, because the woman is unhappy, the man's unhappy, and the children are a disaster, what they will become. That's what we're seeing now. Every time men start to lose more and more their machismo, and they start to adopt more of a feminine position, which is the destruction of man. Why? Because man, which his main duty is to protect and dominate, he doesn't do that. They kind of protect him. He really doesn't have a dominate, and they almost dominate him. The roles kind of get turned around, sometimes kind of ugly. It's not that they pair up of men and women, and the woman says, oh yeah, now more control. And the man, if he has to break away with that, he has to separate, or else yield more control, and so then they end up in the destruction, or even of the human race. I'll tell it to you like that. The mission of the man, recorded in the curse of nature, is to dominate. It is to protect, to provide. When the man is provided for, when the man is per se, he doesn't have to protect anyone. He's kind of protecting himself, and when the man cannot dominate anything, and he's dominated, what starts is a sickness in man. Although it may seem that he's happy, no, he's not happy. He is not happy. And he starts a psychological problem. And if you don't see it outwardly so, he ends up being a guy that's completely unhappy in his interior, because he didn't get to his programming. He didn't fulfill his programming of that curse. He didn't. The woman dominates him, she provides for him, and the desire is unto the wife. And so they end up completely destroyed, both of them. The woman that wants to dominate, dominates man, but actually she's not happy, because afterward, she sees a guy that is very much more stronger than her husband, that she's been dominating and controlling and tying and binding. And then she sees another guy that's a lot more strong and with more vitality and vigor, and then she starts to look at other men. She dominated one, ruined him by necessity. I'm not saying that she did. It's all of society. And they got together, and yeah, she doesn't admire him. There's no way for a woman on the feminine side to admire a man. There's no way they could be partners, like a company of associates. How many matrimonies are like that? And yeah, both pay the rent until later. Let's get separated. We need some time apart. But there's not that deep, profound admiration of the woman, because there's nothing for her to admire. And the admiration is born of the curse, believe it or not. I'm talking about the female within and the male within. I'm not speaking about the conscious woman, but the subconscious. The man, the male within, and the female within. The female wants to be dominated, no matter if later she took on a personality that she wants to dominate. There is a female within. And as long as she does not get dominated, she does not get to her objective. She just does not get there. Even if on the outside there are new beliefs that she's happy dominating, she's not happy dominating. The day that she is no longer dominating, she gets bored and she says, what do I do now? And now she gets a super macho and she loves him. Or doesn't find anyone, and she's super unhappy. The same thing happens with the man. A man that's dominated is destroyed, completely destroyed. That is the curse that Yahweh placed. That's the curse that Yahweh placed. So then we're all fucked. If you're machista, you're fucked. If you're give or take, you're fucked. And if we want to revert the roles and you tell them stop being a macho and stop being the dominated female, start dominating the male, we're more fucked. The whole world is fucked. There's no solution as long as the solution is not avoided. Forgot to say the son of a bitch that said, you seen that it's written that it says that thou shalt not commit adultery, but I tell you that he that looketh upon a woman with lust and covets her with wanting to have sex with her and imagines her naked, then he's such a sinner, like he's already coveted, he's already fornicated, and if he fornicated, he already is condemned. That is what happens with every human being, because every male within, there's no way of sometime, even if they say whatever they say, for the male that we all have within to look at women as if they were female. The conscious male redirects the sight and says, I don't want that. I don't want that. It's against his nature. Those are the small victories that I tell you that should make you smile, that should make you see life different. Those, not if the sun came out and there's something happy that tomorrow will die. It is to dominate that curse, not to try to turn it around, because we can't, but to dominate it. That's the way it is, to dominate it. The solution is not in for the woman to dominate man. That is the destruction of both. The solution is not for the man to stop being macho. Absolutely. Now he's just sort of male, very less male than male. The solution is the self-dominion of every person. So then what Yahweh said is that they're all condemned, you idiots. What I wrote there for you, don't you see that you're all doomed? From everybody that's a man, no matter if he's a Pharisee or if he's a scribe or you. A man in his internal male is not bigamous. That's what you call a person with only one couple, right? Monogamous? He's not monogamous. Man is not monogamous. He was not designed for monogamy. That's correct said, right? Monogamy? Monogamy, whatever. He's not designed to have only one wife. That's not what it's designed for. That's a stupidity. Neither is the woman designed to have only one man. They're not designed for that. Now, once they enter into a contract as if they were a company, is when they sign as if you're making a company and you are faithful to your company or else undo it. But a matrimony is an enterprise where one signs. I sign, I go into this company. Yes, I'll go into this company. Are you sure? I'm sure. I go into this company. This is my name. The other one comes, you sign? Yes. I want this company. That's fine. That's it. It's over. Jacob signed with 2. Then he added another 2. 4. It was a 5-people company. Who says anything? No one. No one says anything in the Bible. Now the companies are of 2 people. I'll never understand why the governments, where do the governments get that the matrimony is of 2, is of whatever they want, whatever humans want. But it's the laws that I don't know where the humans get, because that's not how the Jews are. The Arabs are not like that. And I'm not referring to the modern Jews, but Judaism, the original husband can have many wives, and the Arabs up until today, a guy can have many women. The Hindu up until today, a guy with lots of money can marry all the women he wants. And that is what society is. Now the Christians come along and say a man and a woman. Where do they get that? From wherever, just from wherever. It's inconceivable. Do I agree or am I in disagreement? I'm not going to say whether I agree or not. What I'm going to say is that it's a company. A matrimony is a company. It is to sign a company. It is 2 associates. 2 associates, if they want to do it of 2, it's 50-50. It's a society. And you go into that society, period. That is a matrimony. The people of Israel were 4 or 5. It was Samuel had his mom and then his other moms because Samuel's dad had many wives, and the one that couldn't have children was one of his wives, which is the mother of Prophet Samuel. That is the one, precisely one of the wives of Samuel's dad. She could not have children, the others did. So then that's why Samuel's mom would pray to God that she wanted to have a son. So then, what I'm referring to is the laws that God gave us are unrighteous no matter what. The nature that He gave us cannot be changed. We can win victories. We may establish limits. Man establishes limits by saying, yeah, I could possibly like all women, but I limit myself because I've entered into a contract. If I want to open my radar, then I open my contract. Like Minto can say I can paint all the houses that I want, but if I make an associate with someone, then don't do it alone anymore. Because we're going to do things under our contract. You can have your contract and then have your own jobs aside. Because if you used energy, when you should say, no, I don't do works on the side, I have a company. If our work is in the name of my company. And I earn and my associate too. That is what a matrimony is. It's exactly like that. So then, can the painter paint other things? Yeah, he can, but that's how you break away the society. The society you have. And actually, it doesn't mean that the painter didn't want to paint something else. Yeah, precisely, I wanted to paint that house, but of course, I don't want to do it with the company for something. I could paint it, but I'll just not paint it. Or just not paint it. Now we go to matrimony and sex. It happens the same thing with the women. It could be more concealed. A woman is a female, and the female, in the appropriate stimulation, she'll be so unfaithful as a man. It's just that women need other stimulations. Maybe, as my grandma said, that would tell my mom, and my mom would tell me, my grandma would say it, she would tell my mom, and my mom would teach it to me. It's a phrase that my mom would always repeat since I was little. She was like, look, Christian, men are all the same. If I see an ass I want. That is what they say. It's vulgar, but that is what it is. She says that's what men are. If I see an ass, I want an ass. It's applied to everything. That's the way it is. If you look at it that way, that's what men are. It could be. But I've learned it from my grandma. I'm not saying a new phrase. It's an ancient one. That is what my mom and my grandma would say of men. And they're right, but women too. Believe it or not, women too. Tastes are impulses that women feel. If a woman goes to the job, it's not that she sees some guy on the street and she gets hot. It doesn't work like that. Men does work like that, not women. Women work based on knowing and admiring and certain stimulations, which is what Stelly said in tastes. Maybe the woman, she studied and she's a lawyer. Another one that I forgot to mention, if somebody wants to be a lawyer. She's a lawyer, and so she's married. But she knows other lawyers and some clients, knows this and that, other people. And all of a sudden, she starts to feel an attraction because she's surrounded by many men. With one man that came, there's something in him that she likes, or that the way he treats her, doesn't matter with whatever, no matter with whatever. But there's something in that man that she saw that attracts her. And it's part of her job. And they end up sleeping together. Why? Because there's a female inside. So then I don't blame only men, as Yahweh says. How unrighteous is it? I would want to have grabbed that son of a bitch, Jesus, by his neck of 2,000 years ago. What a son of a bitch. I'll say, what a son of a bitch. All who surrendered him. What didn't you all tell? Oh, you're the son of Jesus. Okay, grab him, grab him, grab him. You're the son of God? You know that if it's true what you say, that he's your dad? He cursed us all and made us all die. Now we're going to kill you. Do you have power to give life? Start to give us life now. No, because I give life in abundance. Okay, then start, you son of a bitch. You never done that. Where's the life you give in abundance? They all die. It was to grab him by the neck, the Son of God, and say, what did your dad do? Your dad is the worst thing that there is. You're the son of that son of a bitch. Okay, that son of a bitch that was impersonating a human being, and the Messiah said, pure machismo, that man that covets a woman. But how many women covet men? But that phrase is not there. No, women don't covet men. And women extremely covet men. Women die for men. They're dying to have certain men. And not necessarily for their husbands. Because her husband, either she dominated him so much and made him so little. Because women, it's like kind of like, well, yeah. Women are something else. She wants to crush the husband until she crushes him. Once she crushes him, she looks at him and she says, no, I don't like you anymore. You're no good. She says, but my dear, I was a macho before. I would say, we're going to do things like that. I want to eat milanesa today. We're going to eat milanesa. What do you mean the house is dirty? Turn that TV off and start to clean the house. When I get here, I want a clean house. And the kids change. They're almost ready to sleep, let's suppose. Time passes, and the guy says, hey, you're never going to talk to me like that, you son of a bitch. Next time you talk to me like that, I'm going to fuck off and leave you alone and burn your house down. And you'll see where you end up. So then the guy starts to stop. He starts to stop. As you're past the molster, and then he comes in, hey, my dear, oh, what did you do? Oh, it's a disaster at home. What did you do? Are you okay? No, I was fine. I'm going to go with my friends. Where? Oh, no. I need you to do this, this, and that. And stop fixing. Look at this. I'm sick and tired of fixing the house, the woman says. I'm sick and tired. I come from work. Well, I'm tired. Fix the house. Help me sweep. So the man goes and he sweeps. The macho starts to become less macho, less male, less male, less male. And he ends up sweeping. He comes quickly to sweep. What else do you want me to do, my dear? I've seen it. I've seen it. This is a fight. Who's going to win it? I've seen it. The time comes in which the guy is so dominated. The time comes where the guy dies. He dies, and the women are left alone. The women are left alone. I've seen it in many cases. I didn't know my grandparents. I didn't know my grandparents. All my grandmothers are saints, dominating like a fucking hell. And my super macho grandparents are dead. My mom, up until today, she's alive. She doesn't recognize anyone. She's alive, but her husband, he died 20 years ago. My aunts, the same thing. Only a couple uncles that were so machos till the end, and they didn't die. They died after the wife. The brother of my dad, he was that guy, he buried the wife. But the rest, the wives bury them. Because the wife wins the battle little by little, and if the man, I know this is very delicate to say, you can imagine that I've said something else when I said something else. I'm speaking about figurative cases and real cases, not your case. You say, oh, you see. No. It's not your case. But when a man starts to yield to the wife and saying, yeah, I'll sweep for you. What else do you want me to do? What else how else can I make you happy? He starts to be less male. And then aside from the fact of getting sick and dying, which will happen, because a man, if he's not a macho man, he's going to die like a dog, like a sick dog. As simple as that. Simple as that. The woman, if the guy doesn't die, she no longer likes him. You say, but why? You dominated him already. You already crushed him, reduced him to nothing. He's your servant. No, I want something. Because actually, they want the other part. It's kind of like so many things where you don't like the way it is. You start to cut it. And say, no, then it's too little. And what I do, then I throw it away, get another one. So then that's the way it is. So then the women start to look and say, that's a macho right there. Didn't notice that she had a macho before, but she, because of her dog shit character or beliefs or whatever, reduced that macho. The other woman didn't do that. There are women that, and I'm not saying that they're all like that. The other woman empowers her macho, and she does things at her house that she knows that her macho likes. She has no problem saying, "Yeah, my macho dominates me." She has no problem. She's happy. Women are happy that way. Women are happy that way. If the woman understand that, they don't understand Yahweh's curse. They don't. When the woman wants to dominate the husband, a curse that's worse enters, even worse for everything. For everything. I know that what I'm saying is so controversial, but this son of a bitch is to block him off of YouTube. I'm not defending machismo. What I'm saying is that when a woman dominates the male, she destroys him and destroys herself. Now, there are women that understand their role on this earth. Oh, is that what God gave me, that role? Okay, I understand it. Some women understand it so much that they say, I'm going to have my kids naturally with pain. Because they understand it and then they enjoy it. But going back to what I tell you, when the women come out of their role of starting to dominate her husband, of starting to decide for him, to start to not do her job at home, that is when the destruction of the home begins, of the macho, even of the female. Because when the female reduces the male, the magic is gone. She would wish for a sweet man, a slave to do whatever, but when she achieves it, she no longer likes him. So like, this is what I made. I don't like it. I want you to have a little more initiative. No, because to touch you, I need to make a document. Can we have some sort of relations today? But before you would just get on me, but now that's abuse. Now you have to ask permission. You have to, can you sign here, please, if it's possible or not? Now you have to do a whole bunch of things to ask permission, to take a picture, 10,000 things for the authorization. But when that's turned around, husband says, "No, I don't want to." What? You don't like me? Yeah, I like you, but I don't want to. Now everything is ruined. Why? Because the man is dominator and the woman is dominated. For what reason? Because I'm reading it to you in the Bible. In your Bible, it is the pattern of human beings. We want to break it. I think it's okay to break it, but do we achieve anything? We achieve to destroy it even more. So then what do we have to dominate? We have to have balance. For the man to know that he's a dominator, for the man has to play his role. If he steps out of his role, he destroys himself, destroys the woman and the children. And when the children grow up and they don't have a man, they don't see the image of a man that is the king of the house, actually the princess. They have so many psychological problems when they see their mother, the boss, as the boss. No, what it'll do, what we're seeing in this society, no one knows what they want. Men are no longer men. They don't know how to do anything. I see the youth now. They don't know anything. They don't know. They are left frozen. But I don't know. Because it's been lost what men used to do, or make man. What would make a man is that he knows how to fix and knows to solve. Leave it up to me. No, men don't know anything. They go to the woman. I don't know. How are we going to solve this? That's the way it is. This society has become dog shit. I see the youth and I say, wow, I can't believe it that they're so effeminate. The essence of man has been lost. And women don't like what they see. But that is the product of what we've created. By appeasing man, raising the woman into the position of a boss, and we've destroyed this completely. I'll tell it to you like that. It is what it is. That's what happens. Maybe I haven't explained me completely well. What is our role? Our role is that within the curses that we have how many 5 laws. Other curses, can we avoid them? No, we can't. We have to play with those laws. Do you understand what I'm saying or not? Just, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want. No, 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 no. I'm not going to do what I want. With those 5 laws that Hammer discovered, there must be so many more things that we don't know. I have to try to avoid major problems in my life. And to make a woman dominated by a woman is to have the worst problem at home. Absolutely like that. And to allow the woman to dominate and not to have her role of a woman that her job is to clean the house, that her job is to cook, that her job is, and almost all of her, is to bring up the children. The father can intervene more, but the more the father intervenes when they're kids, it destroys the kids even more. It is fundamental that the woman is with the children without leaving them because she has to go to work. How many times have we talked about this? How many times have we talked about this? If the mother is willing, if a woman is willing to have children, you have to be willing to bring them up for their upbringing and to stay 15 years of your life without working, to be with them the whole time. The whole time. The day you're not with them and you leave them, the father's abuse when you leave it to your uncle, there's abuse, or the grandpa, abuse, because the mother is not there with them. So then we want to have a better well-being in a society. Those are the things that will change in this system. No, they're not. Did feminism change anything? Yeah, they help maybe to revert the excessive abuse a bit. But as a society, we're not going anywhere that way. We're not going anywhere that way. Because as the roles are inverted, men become even more effeminate and even more effeminate. And if this continues, men are only going to look at men because there's more attractiveness in men than in women. Because men don't want to dominate each other. And if they want to dominate each other, it's a different type of a dominion. They no longer want a woman to dominate them. That's why we see more homosexuals. And it's justified. It is justified in that aspect. Because they said, no, why to have, if I'd rather have a guy. If a woman's going to dominate me, then rather have a guy dominate. And that's where we're headed. If Yahweh, the Creator, does not want to do away with this, we're going to indefinitely. So we're going into a society that's very different than the one we know. Because we're already way too different. This society that I live now is very different to the one I was brought up in. Very different. And the more the roles are inverted of men and women, it'll be worse. Because there's no solution. What is the solution? Let's see if you understood my problem. I mean, my whole speech, or almost 2 hours about this. What is the solution? Right, but what is the final solution to this? That is the temporary one. But what's the solution to this? To annul Yahweh's curse, but with the same power of Yahweh. When Yahweh transfers power to the Son of Man, the Son of Man will have power equal to Yahweh to annul that curse. So then men and women will stop existing. They will stop existing. What man and woman will be, I don't know, but it should be absolutely equal. Absolutely equal. A woman should not, just because she's feminine, to have any weakness in any point. The woman should not need for somebody to protect her. The woman should not need to be the one to bring up the kids. I may be wrong completely. I could be completely wrong. I'm just dreaming and watching a science fiction movie written by Christian Silva. I believe that there has to be a complete equality between men and women if men and women exist. If men and women exist. Yahweh, in a very subtle way, he said, oh, don't worry. You're not going to get married or be engaged, but you'll be like angels. Now, how the fuck are the angels? Who the fuck are the angels? What angels is he referring to? They're humans also. Whom is it referring to? What do you mean they're not going to get married or engaged? That part sounds very interesting because to get married and to get engaged means to get into a union forever. And in the end of it all, I don't know if it's the end all of an eternal creation. I don't know. I'm leaning more towards the side, which I don't know, and the other is that everyone will have a certain equality of the sexes. What does that mean? I don't know. To have both sexes? I don't know. Because for me, the soul has no sex. So then, anytime there's a man and a woman, anytime there's a man and a woman, there will be a difference. There will be a difference. Because the woman, maybe the first 20, 100, 500 years, she'll feel okay, but then later she'll say, I want to be like a man. Can that be done? We're different. Because I think in eternity, not in our time lapse, in an eternity is what I'm thinking. If the woman is always going to be inferior to man, she's not going to be happy ever. She's not going to be happy because the difference is almost that the man is bigger and stronger to protect her. We agree. Now, if the men and women have the same strength, she no longer needs the protection one of the other. The role of the woman has changed. And if you take the curse out, if it's taken out right now, that the desire will be unto the man. There's no desire for the man anymore, of the woman. That desire of a man, of having a woman, won't be there. Pay attention, because it's a curse. It is a curse. What does the curse exactly say? Let's see if it says it here in the Spanish DHH, because it's rather very interesting to try to decipher this subject. Maybe you don't like this. I like this. It says, well, this is mistranslated. It says, your desire will take you unto your husband, and he will have authority over you. Your desire will take you unto your husband. I don't like that translation. That's not the way it is exactly. In the Spanish, RB 1960, we know what it says. It says, your desire shall be unto your husband. That's different. Your desire shall be unto your husband. What does that mean? Your desire shall be unto your husband. Depends on how you want to translate it. It means that all of the desire for the woman will be unto the husband. It can't be. The woman desires her husband and many other men, or else they would not understand the feminine. Even it's higher sometimes sexuality of the female than of the male. If you look online, even though everyone lies, Brian, what did they say, that the male infidelity is more superior than the female one? Statistics, yes. Statistics, yes. Angelina, do you know? You never looked that up? Who's more unfaithful in the U.S.? No, they're not too far. Don't look amongst the Latinos. Look in the U.S. of it, the American race, not in Mexico or Argentina. Not all of the rest of South America. No? Okay. As long as you're looking it up. How much? Right, that's what I'm saying. Self-report. 20% of men, 13% of women. Give or take. A little bit less of the women. It's just that the women lie more. And then a report. But the gap is narrowing among the younger demographic, even less. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just playing. That the women report less. Obviously, who's going to report that I cheated? Who's going to report? It's anonymous, okay, but either way. Either way. What was the last thing we were talking about? I forgot. You have to bring me back to what I was saying. You have to, and the last thing that I said. No, you're not telling me. Yes, in Spanish there's a song of a couple that has many children, and there's one with a different color than the rest, and the husband is asking the wife, "Hey, is that mine?" And she says, "The one with the different color than the rest, that's the only one that's yours." Like that story I told you about, remember, right? Dad, I want to marry that girl, remember? And he says, "No, you can't, that's your sister." And the mom says, "Don't worry about it. He's not your dad, so you can marry her." So give or take. So then what do I believe? What do I believe? That the genders have to disappear. How will that take place? And that's fun, how it could be. But as long as men are stronger than women, it is because he has the duty to protect her. As long as things are in that position, then there's always going to be inequality. And aside from that, I was reading about desire. What does it say then? It says, "With pain thou shalt bear your children, and your desire shall be unto your husband, and he shall take lordship over you." If that is reverted, then already the desire won't be unto the husband, whatever it might want to mean. The desire of the woman unto the husband, or that the desire will dominate the husband, that is reverted. So then where does the desire go? The desire is a curse. And taking lordship over you is a curse. So then many more things are going to change than what you think in order for this society to function. In order for this society to function, many things have to change. That desire was placed by Yahweh. That's why when I look at humanity that is abusing, the only one to blame is Yahweh. Now, man also has his own guilt for allowing himself to be taken by his primitive instinct. It's when I say, and I've heard it, that in man, the thinking man, there is a male. That male does not think. All he wants is to couple with all the women that he can, to spread his seed, and for humanity to be assured of life, so that humanity can continue. Now, women, the female, the only thing that the female wants to, I want you to understand this, is we'll talk about this, the internal female, that you cannot even ration. The internal female of every woman wants a woman to possess her, to have sex with whatever man that leaves her pregnant. And she is looking in her interior, brutal, that in her animal interior, the best prospect, the strongest, to have. This is natural selection, what they call it, those who believe in evolution, but they have things that are true. That natural selection is in the feminine one, the one that does not think, the one that you don't understand, doesn't look for some idiot like this. Yeah, I want to have children with that. No, doesn't look for little tiny. No. She looks for someone strong. That says, I want for this one to be the prospect for me to bear his children without thinking. It's in the brain. It's in the brain. So then when they get married with people that there was nothing else left, because it happens sometimes in this life, there was no one else, that's what happens, is whatever. They got married, her mind doesn't stop looking for an ideal prospect that can make her pregnant to give place to a superior race. That is within her. It is natural selection. And the same thing with men. The more beautiful, says, oh, my children will be more beautiful. Man doesn't think, oh, how beautiful is that woman. Wow, what a figure she's got. What this and that. But in order for the man to say that, there is a desire in man that he's looking for a prospect to continue his race in that woman. The more beautiful, the more agreeable body, he understands it. He thinks he's a degen. He thinks that the demon is speaking to him, and the one speaking and is deciding for you is the male that we all have inside, that the devil placed of natural selection. But why does man, if he were to stop thinking, doesn't go and jump the bones of whatever woman that he saw and violate her? Could he do it? Yes, he could. He could. But upon that male, there's a whole thinking structure that receives the input of that male. And so then the thinking structure says, hey, well, hold on, what am I feeling? Well, what you're feeling is what the guy is not, is the guy think is not your sin or the devil, nothing. Yahweh can't be more of a son of bitch. He can't. There are sons of bitches, and then there's Yahweh. They're wicked, and then Yahweh is defined. It is way past what wickedness is. It is way past our true understanding of the level of wickedness and violence. For him to come and tell you, oh, the one that covets her in his heart, but you place that. It's absolutely natural. The man has to take that out. But he covets her up until there, which is not coveting. It is the desire of procreating the race, because it's not even sex what he wants. Just for having sex, it is to procreate. It is like when the dog is in heat. If a bitch in heat comes along, the bitch is in heat. Make him understand, no, she's in heat. And if you have a cat, you can't stand the cat in heat, and she's like, oh, meow, meow. What's going on with this cat? Fucking cat. They're like, let's operate her. I can't stand her anymore. Have you seen cats in heat? I mean, it is sickening how they howl. Well, your soul is like that. You just don't notice. That's the way it is. When someone says it's not, they're a liar. Or you're not human, you came from Mars or whatever. But those who were born on this earth, they have that instinct, every last one of them. So then for this son of a bitch to come and say, those who have that instinct have fornicated. And since you're fornicated, you should go to hell. What a son of a bitch. He enclosed all, and he was right to say what he wanted. What for? So that the world can know that the law, they were all fucked. That due to the law, they were all fucked. And no one is saved by the law. That is why I consider Ellen G. White a son of a fucking daughter of a bitch. Her husband, the Adventist pioneers, they were all hypocrite. Because Ellen G. White also had what we call mice in her head. Do you call it like that? To have mice in the head is to have fantasies in their mind. This happens to both men and women. So then, what takes control? Our thinking man and our thinking woman says, no, this is wrong. This, I'll stop it. Nature's there, but I'll stop it. So when a woman starts to dominate her husband way too much, she has to stop it. Saying, no, that's not my place. My role is not to go and yell at him. That's not my role. He protects me? Yes. Does he feed me? Yes. Does he give me a place to live? And yes. So then I have to stop breaking his balls and dominate him? No. I mean, stay in your place and you'll have happiness in your life. You don't take care of your place, it makes a hell. Complete hell. If you want to have a man that comes from work and clean your house and clean your kitchen and help you this and help you to wash the house clothes, you haven't understood a thing. You haven't understood a thing what your role is to be happy, and your role to be happy is that. You can break away from it, but you won't be happy. Just like that, you won't be happy. So then that's right. They both have fantasies. Exactly. Which for a Christian is absolutely sin. And you go straight into the lake of fire, seeing those fantasies in your mind. So then, this also applies to know whether or not we should forgive if adultery is so bad. It also applies for that. For what reason? Because sometimes in matrimonies you cannot forgive adultery. They think it's something that is way past their hurt in their ego, and that they did something terrible that they cannot forgive. So the truth that it's a lot more forgivable than many other things, because this is the human nature, both of man as women. Christianity has done of this to say, no, you can't, Christianity and Judaism both together. If a woman does it, you have to stone her to death. If a man does it, oh, nothing happens. That comes from the Jews, mind you. I mean, it's just terrible, absolutely, and also harmful because it's been given thinking that it is only the sinful nature, and it isn't so. It's simply a calling of the natural laws that Yahweh has imposed upon man. That's all. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That desire is innate in every man and every woman. So then when there's adultery, it's not so bad as what the people has made us believe that it is. That it is terrible. Well, it's not so terrible. It's the most nature thing that exists. That's the way it is. It's the most natural that exists. Is not have refrained something natural, which is naturally asked for. It's anti-natural to be faithful. I'll repeat this again. It is anti-natural and against the nature of both of a man and woman to be faithful. That requires a conscience and a will that is not in human beings. It isn't there. Because humans could care less. They could care less. Has nothing to do with love. It is true when a man says, I love my wife, but I can also date the other one because it's different. I don't love her, but I love my wife. I don't love her, the other one, but I can be with that one, and continue to love my wife. It's the same thing with the wife. She can love her husband, but also have fun with another. Let me ask you, can that be done or not? Heidi says no. I can assure you yes. Because love and sex are two separate things, or else there wouldn't be a violation. Love and sex are two things that are absolutely individual. One can love a person and love a person without having sex their entire lives. Why? Because neither of them have desire. Because one is cut off, the other one doesn't have hormones, and they can live as a couple without having sex. And you're not going to discuss whether they have love or not. Because love is not based in sex. No, there could be couples that have sex without love, yes or no? Why is it so difficult to answer this whole group? But sex with love, there isn't. They're individual. We can combine them. Of course we can combine them. I'm not saying that we can't combine them. But the sexual activity has nothing to do with love. Because those that work and produce and make porno music, they're not in love one with another, and there's a whole bunch of sex there. And there's no love, and there could even be dislike, but there's no love. Now, there can be love and no sex. Perfectly well. Now, when we combine the two, it becomes potential. Both love becomes potential, and both sex, and maybe not. But yeah, the people do get together. They do get together. So then, be very careful of saying that, like Paul said, which is one of the worst sins. Paul said, Paul had many things that he had to learn. Paul did many things to learn in this life. But learn to forgive, learn to be forgiven, because that is not the worst thing that could happen to a couple. Now, what I'm saying is that we have to learn to control that. It is anti-natural to be faithful. Anti-natural to be faithful. Just that's the way it is. It is not natural. What's natural is not to be faithful. Now, when you go into a commitment, you're promising that you will do everything that is possible to dominate the animal you have inside. But you're not saying, from here on out, all of my desires and thoughts are for you. No. If you can say it, but it would be a lie. It would be a lie because you were not formed a male to look at only one woman, neither a woman to look only at a one male. It wasn't. You weren't created that way. It's not in your nature. The man is not monogamous by nature, not in the very least. The man is inclined to the contrary sex. That's if he likes the contrary sex, and the woman is inclined to the contrary sex if she likes the contrary sex, but not to a specific person, but to the contrary sex, or else we could not say that we are. How do you say when you like the regular sex? There you got the homosexuals, and then heterosexual. The heterosexuals means an attraction to the contrary sex. It doesn't say attraction to Juanita. It doesn't say that. It says, are you homosexual or heterosexual? It says neither of the two. I am only attracted to my wife. That's a lie. No one believes you. Christians do believe that. They believe that the other is like that, but neither of the two knows that it isn't so. And that's the way it is. And that angers me. For example, of the things that Charlie Kirk would say, that he would talk about precisely Christianity and that we have to go back to apply the law of God. No, you cannot apply the law of God again, because the law of God, in cases of infidelity, you have to kill the woman if she commits adultery. Charlie doesn't mention that. He can't do it anymore because he's not with us anymore, but that is what Mr. Charlie wouldn't say. Anyway, it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I'm barely going to say Shemah Israel, Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Unfortunately, Yahweh, our Creator, is one alone. And I'm saying, unfortunately, because we got the worst one there was. If there were any others, maybe the best. But he has to demonstrate that he's the best. He has not demonstrated that he's the best. The day that he demonstrates it and says, hey, look, 1,000 years, it's the best thing for you to make you grow to, I don't know what the fuck he could say. Maybe he convinces me or you and say, yeah, it tells you that's fine. Maybe it could have been done in a different way, but oh well, it's your invention. It's your invention. This world is your invention. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? It's like criticizing the one that painted this tree. What can I tell him? If you liked it that way, either I like it, love it, or hate it. You either love it or hate it. But I can't be saying, no, let's go ahead. No, it is the design of the guy. Anyway. From my point of view of creation, we look at the Creator, an actual Father of lies, of hate, of abuse, of power, of the Father of all the assassinations, the Father of all the calamities. Of course, it all has to be reverted, and that we're all fine, and that we're all alive to say, okay, let's see. Okay, let's give him a chance. We thank you as a Creator until that maybe we could even develop love. But first, give us back everything you took out to the very last cent. The last one is our brother. The last one is our lover. The most murderers of them all is our brother that has to learn to control. Well, speaking about controlling, because sometimes we say, and I've taught many times, that we have to teach the world to control. Wait. The problem is that we, as a human being, as a human race, is that we have curses on top of us. So then, once we take those curses away, the potential of doing good and evil has to be there. Or else there's no liberty, and there's no free thinking. But what there shouldn't be under any circumstances are the curses of Yahweh imposed upon the mind, that I believe that it was done there, and we all want to steal. Both not stealing and containing ourselves. Maybe we've been fixing that from our nature, but it is there. It is there. It is kind of like the movie of the 9 Queens. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. 9 Queens, it's called. If you haven't seen that Argentinian movie, 9 Queens, I don't want to tell you anything, but you have to go and watch it. Look it up. It is called Nine Queens. It is an old one of the 90s. Of the 90s, yes. Nine Queens. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe we have had many bad things that due to not practicing them, we reduce them so much in our nature until not hearing them. But they're there. Because when the opportunity would come, we could get to commit one of the things that we turn off. For example, in a movie, you have Ricardo Darín in a bathroom, and he says, very vulgarly, but he says it. I have to tell you the way he says it. What's the exact phrase? He says, would you fuck a guy for $10? Would you fuck another man for $10? The guy says, no. This is very heterosexual. How about $100? No. $500? No. What about $1 million? And the guy was like, well, and then he didn't say no. So then that you see how we're not lacking in queers. What we're lacking of is financiers. In other words, they're all queers, depending on the price. If 1 million is not to convince you, I'll convince you with 10 million or 100 million. You say, well, at least once I'll lay with a guy just for 100 million. I'll get to your price. I'll get to the price. So then we're not lacking with queers, but we need the dollars. And what I'm trying to apply that to everything. Sometimes you don't steal in little things, but with an opportunity that nobody sees you, or that they says, look, we're going to do this, and then you have so much money left, then maybe you even think about it. Let's look, we have a testament, the guy died, and we need your signature as if you're that guy, and we make you act like you're like that. It's like you're like that guy. We'll get $50 million. There's a 300 million inheritance, and you're like, what? Where do I sign? Because it is to save for your whole existence in this dog shit world. So then, of course, there's a price for everything. What am I referring to with this? What I'm referring to is that we were all born with wanting to steal. Why? We see it in babies. The babies want to steal everything. They say, mine. The first thing they say, they close their hand. They haven't paid for it. They don't have the concept of what property is, but they say, that's mine. That's mine. It's all mine. The mom, her tit, mine. It's all his. You have to little by little teach him. Says, no. And then when you kind of explain it, just because he gets upset, he throws it on the ground. He breaks it. He says, not mine. It's no one then. It's in the nature of the child. He's so evil, the child is. You have to go little by little, or else he gets so upset and he cries that if he could kill you with his hands, he would grab you like this and kill you, and then he would die. But he would make you puree with his hands. You see how when the babies come and they go and they slap somebody, they slap you because they got nothing else to kick you in the head with. They want to kill you. That's the way it is. And when they grow, they start to gain conscience, and they start to direct those things, and they start to say, no, I shouldn't act that way. But in some point in life, he gets upset with someone, with the wife or something, and kills her. Where does that come from? From the children. From childhood. It is concentrated in that baby. When he gets, he's so upset. You've never seen a baby cry? Wow. He cries with such anger. That is the same anger that we see sometimes in the machos and in the females, that they have control, but sometimes it comes up. It is that child. We come with the worst. Look, I've seen my kittens. My kittens were little angels next to The little babies, the human babies. The puppies are little angels next to the human babies. The human babies are the worst, the most egocentrical, evil. They want everything for themselves. They're liars. They're thieves. You broke it? No. No. Did you break it? No. 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 They're such liars. They're the worst thing in the human race. You can see it in a baby. You can see it in a baby. It's terrible when they grab the mother and she sucks on her tit. Maybe he's having a relation with her, believe it or not, or just read Freud, so you understand it. So you understand the sexology of human beings. Read it and you'll understand it. It's possessive. This is mine. Little by little, we start to soften that. And we make a human being that's give or take. But we were all the worst, the most thievious, the most murderers, the most fornicating. It's all concentrated in the baby. Just imagine Jacob and Esau that were fighting in the womb. One was grabbing the other one. When they were babies in the womb, they would fight. Just imagine, the babies are the worst that exist in human beings. It is concentrated in a baby. So the question is, what if, when we annul the curses, the baby is not like that? If the baby comes out with the best tendencies, free, but with the best of tendencies, not with the tendencies towards evil, but rather toward the tendencies towards good, or very neutral per se, very neutral. It'd be different, right? Okay. It's different, so then let us not think that we come here to correct all of little by little, that you're going to have to learn little by little and suffer until we correct that they were thieves. No. There are fixes that will be general, because the curse was general. There are certain fixes that will be general for all. For example, from here on out, there is no more death. That's for everyone. It's not that do you accept me as God? Okay. Now I give you eternal life. Okay, next. In the measure that they accept me, they receive eternal life. No, the new God says, okay, death no longer exists. It no longer exists. You can't die. That's it. It's over. Believe or me or not, I could give a fuck. Death no longer exists from here on out. All the women, when they bear children, if they bear children, they won't have pain, but rather pleasure when they give birth. Pleasure. They will go into labor with pleasure. Oh, that'd be very good, right? But that is for those that believe in that new God, or for all of them, for all who exist. The human race changes from here on out. The children are not with the tendencies, because those tendencies towards evil were placed there by Yahweh. We're a lot worse than what you think. We are survivors of all the curses that Yahweh placed on us. Every day, if you want to be happy and look at the glass half full, look at yourself, not God, but you, and say, I'm a survivor. This guy has been throwing me down since I was born. The worst thing that he has, and he'll continue to throw in my path the worst thing he has. I'm a survivor. I'll have victories. I have the power. I have the control. Sanctified be my name. My kingdom come. My will be done, both in heaven as on earth. That is to look at life with the glass full. And that is the message that I wanted to give you last Shabbat. To not look at, oh, how beautiful is this, the birds and that. No, they're going to die tomorrow. A cat will eat them. Oh, don't enjoy those stupid things. The only thing that you can enjoy is out of your own victories and advancements and victories of comprehending who you are and of understanding that you want something a lot better. That has to get your hopes up, not to look at a bird, not to see that because it rains. That's fine. You can look at those details. That's perfect. it makes us happy, but also when it rains way too much and you get flooded, that you're not going to be so happy. Not so happy. You're going to say, let this fucking rain stop. Or when it no longer rains and the sun splits the earth. You've seen the invitation of Leslie? That invitation is how we saw the fire, that we've never seen such a fire that is so great as precisely that Friday, not yesterday, but the other Friday, from home, from the back of our, did you place the picture? It's rather impressive. It's impressive. So then, right there is when you also don't have to look at life, all the empty glass. The entire life is empty glasses, except for your victories as a human being, except for your dominion over your nature, because you must feel proud of saying, yes, I know, I'm have a male inside, but I control it. I control it. The females, yes, I'm a female, but I control her. I control her. And I act like a woman, and I act like a husband. I leave the space for my husband. I leave a space for my wife, in order for both of them to grow and there be harmony at home, for example. Those are the kinds of things that you have to look at in life, in your personal victories over your ailments. What takes over you? What takes over you? Those are your victory if you win over them. Those are the details that we have to look at until the Creator finds it worthy to hand over the power to whom he wishes to give it, in order for him to revert the curses, and they're going to be reverted in a universal manner. Just like the great flood was universal, the curses are universal, precisely like Paul says, since by one man, and they all died, then by one man does life enter, and they shall all be justified and shall all be vivified. That's the way it is. Since we're automatically cursed when the Messiah, the God of the earth, automatically they will all receive a blessing when he pronounces the words that will be pronounced. Oh, and by the way, in the fires they were saying in English and in Spanish, it is obligatory that you have to evacuate. Why don't you fuck off? You and everywhere. The people learn pretty much that if they evacuate, possibly when you come back there's no home. Since nobody evacuates, not one house was burned, not one was burned. Interesting. They're interesting. We are not going anywhere. The police was like, it's obligatory to evacuate. Here, take this. How about you take? It takes a man to decide and a woman to decide, I'm staying here. If the man is very feminized, then, oh, let's go, honey, let's go, my dear, let's go. It takes a macho to stay. That's what it takes. Just like Los Angeles do feminized, they all left. Because the man has taken a feminine side. And the woman does flee. It's in her nature. She flees. The woman doesn't stay and fight. She flees. Since there's no macho to defend her, the male says, let's go, let's all go. But if the male says, I'm staying here. If you want to, you leave, but I'll stay here. Los Angeles wouldn't burn, but there's not very good amount of males in Los Angeles. Not in gender, but in soul, because they were feminized. We are less males in the world. Here it is. You see right there, that right there is the picture. It was like that. It was like that. It was what? You couldn't believe it. It was an inferno. And it was from behind our house, and the police was saying, you have to evacuate. It's obligatory to evacuate. And the smoke, how we could smell it. Remember, Brian? Not the smoke, but the ashes falling. Wow. You have to evacuate. It seemed that we were surrounded by a sea of fire. I was like, is this the sea? Is this the lake of fire? Wow. We'll die with glory then. We'll die with glory. Anyway, everything that we're talking about and commenting are found in Leslie's timeline under the comment of the video that we're talking about now. Exactly. It was impressive. Out of the 23 years that we lived in this house, we've seen all types of fires, even closer, but never more spectacular like this one. Very huge. Even Brian was impressed when a plane came, when he said, look at that plane. One of the firemen is like, nah, it can't be. No, you're going to see he's going to turn around. He turned around. He went on the other side. Where the fire, when he came, it would seem that it was going to touch, and right above us, it was an enormous plane, just like the passenger ones, just imagine. But it was all orange, and it was an impressive red powder. We've never seen a plane be so close. He scraped that mountain. It's like it was disappeared below the mountain, and it was like just scraping it. And the mountain is 200 meters from us, and it was right above us. As long as he doesn't drop that shit on us, there are tons of those shits on us. You've seen that effect when somebody like that, or that water that they throw down, it's so strong they can kill you. You know that it looks like everything is, it looks like powder, it just poof, goes like that. It can crush a car. It can just crush a car. Completely crushed. That is just, it had, I'm referring to what they drop. Terrible, terrible head falls. That's why Trump, the brute, our president, when there was the fire of Nostradamus, remember? Or, if you want to, we'll send you some planes and we'll throw some water there. The French engineer said, if you do that, you'll destroy the whole cathedral. But Trump's idea was, we'll send you some planes with water to turn it off. In the Notre Dame Cathedral. I'm sure Netanyahu would want to fix Gaza like that too. Very well. What time is it? It's been 2 hours 37 and I can never explain this text. Oh well. What is the text? I'll read it without explaining. When the Son of Man cometh in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit in his throne of glory, and shall be gathered before him all the nations, and shall set apart one from the other, just like the shepherd sets apart the sheep from the goats, and he shall set the sheep on the right and the goats on the left. Wow. Impressive. Absolutely marvelous. To wrap this up, and I hope that this doesn't cut off, in order to wrap this up, since we're not going to study that text, I have to go well into it from the beginning. It's been 2 hours 37 minutes. I want to read a text that Gabriel gave me, and it's good in this translation. It's very good. It's very good. It's very good the way it sounds. It is what has always sounded. It's good the way it sounded. For example, later we'll read it again because it's got a connotation. But now, in the mode of as an extra bonus, I'm going to give you this text. John 3:35 through 36. John 3:35 through 36 reads as follows. In the Spanish RV 1960, the Father loveth the Son, and the Father, of course, it's not talking about that Jesus, It's talking directly, or in a future time, when the Messiah cometh. The Father, which is the Creator, loves the Son, believe it or not, He loves us. You believe it or not, it's those kinds of loves that kill, loves that kill. But actually, the Creator, I do not doubt that He loves us. He doesn't hate us. If He were to hate us, we would not exist. I don't approve His forms. His government is, I'm already sick and tired of it. But that in my mind, do I understand that He loves us? He loves us. And especially the Son, the one that will be the Son, the Messiah. The Father loveth His Son. The same thing as to say God, Yahweh, loves the Messiah. And He has handed everything in His hands. It is very clear. It's talking about the Messiah. The Father loves the Son of Man. He loves the Messiah. And He has handed over. It's in the past because it is concealed. But it is what will take place. The Father will hand over all things. How many things? All things. Not some. All things in His hand. He that believeth in the Son hath eternal life. But he that rejects to believe in the Son shall not see life. I'll explain it. So then, the Son saith, the Messiah saith, if you believe in the Son, you have eternal life. If you reject to believe in the Son, you shall not see life, but rather the wrath of God is upon him. It is very clear to see it, the text this way. When this world changes hands, we have lived 6,000 years under the wrath of God, because it was the kingdom of God, the Creator, kingdom of God, kingdom of the Creator, until He hands it over to His Son. So then, when I talk about His Son, it's better to speak about the Messiah, because it's all nicknames. When He hands the kingdom to the Messiah, which will be the new God, the Messiah says these words. If you believe in the Son, you believe that it's the new God, that I'm the new God. You already have life. Now, if you have yet to believe that I am God, you will still live under the wrath of the God that takes you to death. That's what He's saying. He says, but he that rejects, the one that does not believe that I'm the new God, but rather he's still believing in the old God, they still want to see Yahweh. They don't want to see the Son. They're talking about already when the Son has power already, mind you. Pay attention. But he that rejects refuses to believe in the Messiah, or to say I'm the new God, I am the owner of the earth, he that believeth on me, now I give him eternal life. The rest has to learn to believe in me. And as long as they don't believe in me, they are under the wrath of God, which means death. But he that refuses to believe in the Son, he shall not see life. And here is the bonus, but the wrath of God is upon him. In other words, what is upon us now? The wrath of God. All of us. Now, when the new God, the Messiah, rises, the Messiah says, now it has changed. Now, believe in me, I can give you life now. But if you refuse to believe on me and you still believe in the ancient God, the wrath of God is still upon you. You understand that? It is easy to understand. This text is marvelous. It's always been there. And Gabriel gave me this version, which is good. Well, we've always had it, but to tell the truth, it is absolutely, completely spectacular the way they translated this, but you see it in the language, but the Spanish language is so rich that if you see it in a different way, it shines in such a way. John 3:35-36, the Latin American Bible. BLA, the Latin American Bible. I think that's what it means. BLA, or just look it up with BLA. It reads as follows. The Father loveth the Son, and He has placed all things in His hands. He that believeth in the Son lives of eternal life. But he that refuses to believe in the Son, he stays with the God that condemns. He shall never know life. It's so good. He that refuses to believe in the new God stays with what? It is way too good. But he that refuses to believe in the Mashiach, in the new God, he stays with what? With the God that condemns. You have never heard that God condemns everything? There's no salvation with God. So then, he that does not believe in the new God, in the Messiah, stays with what? With the God that condemns. The Adventists, the Christians, the Jews, Muslims. If they refuse to believe, they stay with what? With the God that condemns. They have a God like we spoke of, but that God condemns. That is what they don't understand. That is why we say that's it. It's enough, God. Enough is enough. You have to hand over the power to the Messiah, because all you do is condemn. All he does is condemn. There's no other thing that God can do but to condemn. Let's see if they understand. God is here to condemn and kill. If it weren't for the Messiah, he comes and destroys the earth. But nobody notices that detail. The life is in the Messiah. But if he that denies to believe in the Son stays with the God that condemns, and he shall never know life. He shall never know it until he is stubborn and stays with the God that condemns. So then what's the God that condemns? The Creator. They'll have to change to a different God, of course. They're going to have to change to a separate God. He's saying it in the same gospel that is in all the Bibles. The Messiah tells you, notice how I give life, the other God, the true God, my Father, he says he condemns. Which of the two do you want? The Son gives you life, the Father condemns. If you don't accept me, then stay with the God that condemns. Next, what do you want? The new God or the Father that condemns? I want Jesus. Okay, then over there. Go to that side. They stay with the God that condemns. We've always read it. The wrath of God is upon him. The wrath of God is upon all of us. That is why we've all died. Why did they all die? Because the wrath of God is upon us, upon the prophets, the disciples, upon all those who serve God, upon the Christian that just died, that used to preach Christianity, and then God was your only solution. That's it, it's over. That one stayed with the God that condemns, exactly. He'll have to be resurrected by the Son and have to understand that the Son is the new God, and he'll have to stay with the God that condemns until he understands. We all have that God that condemns, and we still have that God that condemns. Careful. We used to pray to that God that condemns, and I make you reason. If you don't believe in the Son, you stay with the God that condemns. Let's see if you noticed what I've been saying since I read this text. If you don't believe in yourself and the eternal truth, there's no other way of believing but rather in the God that condemns. And in order to believe in the Son, you have to believe that we are the Son. Now there's no Son. The only sons are some sons of bitches. There's no other sons to believe. We no longer have that figure of Jesus of 2,000 years ago. Where is he? Where is he? In the cross? You're going to believe in the cross? You're going to pray to Jesus of Nazareth 2,000 years ago. We no longer have any other son. And the Messiah says, unless you believe in the Son, you still believe in the God that condemns. What is the option? He that refuses to believe in the Son, he shall not see life, but the wrath of God is upon him. The question is the wrath of God upon you? How do we pass over from being under the wrath of God? How do we exit from staying with the God that condemns? Do you know what? How do we do that? By stopping to believe, by no longer believing in the God Creator. That is exactly what we did. We no longer believe that he is no longer our God. He's God the Creator, but we no longer accept him as an authority. And in order for the Son to start to notice who he is, he has to start by saying, God, you're no longer my authority.
Ya no te tengo.
I no longer have you as an
Me
authority.
puedes matar,
You can kill me.
puedes
You can
maldecir,
curse
me
me.
importa un
I
carajo.
could give a
Yo
fuck.
no te acepto.
I no longer accept you as an
¿Cómo
authority.
salimos?
How do we
¿Cómo
exit?
sale una
How does a
persona
person exit
de decir, ahora
from
creo
saying,
en
now I
el
believe in
Hijo
the Son,
y dejo de creer
and I no
en
longer
el
believe
Dios que
in the
siempre
God that
creí?
I was
Es
believed in?
solamente un
It is
simple
simply
paso.
one
Ya no
step.
creo más
I no
en el
longer
Dios
believe in this
este,
God.
ahora creo en el
Now I
Hijo.
believe
Es
in
lo
the
que
Son.
dice el
It is what the
texto, te lo
text
leo de
says. I'll
vuelta.
read it again.
El que cree
He
en
that
el
believeth
Hijo
in the Son
vive de vida
liveth of
eterna,
eternal
pero el que
life,
se
but he
niega a
that
creer en el Hijo
denies
se queda
the
con el Dios
Son
que
stays with the
condena.
God that
Nunca
condemns.
conocerá
He
la
shall
vida.
never know life.
Entonces la cosa
So then the
es,
thing is,
todo lo que yo te estoy
everything that I've been
enseñando
teaching you
de forma
in a way that is
despacio,
slow,
de forma
in
explicativa,
an explicative way,
de forma
in a
bastante
pretty
peligrosamente
dangerously
que tú podías haber
that
abandonado
you could have
todo.
abandoned
Mis expresiones.
anything with my expressions.
Te fue preparando
He
para decir,
prepared you
yo
for
ya
you
no
to say,
acepto
I no
más
longer
a Dios.
accept God.
No le oro
I
más
don't
a
pray
Dios.
to God
No le
anymore.
pido
I don't
nada a
ask
Dios. Por
anything
eso
of
yo te
God. That is why
estoy diciendo,
I
ya
started
no
to
le
tell you,
ores,
don't pray
no
to
le
Him, don't thank
agradezcas
Him
nada.
for
Ya
anything.
no lo tomes como tu
Don't
Dios.
thank Him as your God.
Es tu creador,
He's your creator,
pero ya no es tu
but
Dios.
no longer your God,
Porque la palabra Dios
because
es
the word
autoridad.
God means authority.
Entonces,
So then,
si tú quieres
if you
estar
want to be
en este
in
grupo,
this group,
tienes que
you have
empezar
to
a
start to
creer en el
believe in
Hijo.
the Son.
¿Y en qué hijo
And in
creemos?
what Son do we believe
El
in?
único
In the
hijo
only
que
Son that
se asemeja a lo que es el
is like unto what the Mashiach
y el
is.
Mashiach, el
And the
Mesías,
Mashiach, the Messiah,
es el único
is the only one
que va a dar vida
that
al
will
mundo.
give life into
Ya
the
no
world.
tenemos
We
un
no longer
Mesías
have a
hace
Messiah
2000
2,000 years ago.
El Mesías se
The
llama
Messiah
la
is called the
verdad
eternal
eterna. O
truth.
crees en la verdad
Either you
eterna,
believe in
o
the
te
eternal
quedas con
truth
el Dios que condena.
or you stay with the God that
No hay
condemns.
otra
There's
opción.
no other option.
Ahora es este paso nuestro.
This is our step now.
Después la gente
Then the people
va a tener
will
que
have to
claramente
clearly
creer
believe
lo mismo
the same
que estamos creyendo
that we're
nosotros.
believing.
O creemos en
Either
la
we
verdad
believe in the
eterna,
eternal
o
truth
seguimos
or we
y nos
continue
quedamos con
and
el
we
Dios
stay
que
with the
condena.
God that
Puede ser
condemns.
cualquier versión,
It
la
could be any
Trinidad,
version, the
Jesús, el
Trinity,
Padre, el
Jesus, the
Hijo
Father, the
y la
Son,
puta
and the
que
fucking
también
bitch that
parió.
bore you.
Pero todos ellos
But all of
condenan,
them condemn,
excepto
except
el
for the
Mesías.
Messiah.
Pero empieza con nosotros.
But it starts with us.
La pregunta
The
es,
question
¿en qué
is,
crees tú?
what do you believe in?
¿En qué
What
crees
do
tú?
you believe in?
Por eso yo te
That's why I
empecé a
started to
preparar,
prepare
no
you.
ores
Don't
más,
pray anymore.
no agradezcas
Don't thank
más,
anymore.
ya cambia de
Change gods
¿Quién es
already.
nuestro
Who
Dios?
is our God?
Nosotros
We
somos
are
Dios.
God.
Nosotros
We are
somos el nuevo
the new
Dios.
God.
Nosotros somos
We are
esos
those
locos.
crazies.
Lo saben ustedes.
Do you
lo
know
sabemos.
it, my friends?
Somos locos
We are
porque
crazy
pensamos
because we think
que hay una justicia
that there is an
eterna
eternal
que es
justice
llamada a
that is
gobernar
called
el
to
mundo,
rule the world,
que somos nosotros.
and that it is us.
Y empieza hoy.
It starts today.
Hoy
It
empieza
starts today
a creer en el Hijo.
to believe in the Son.
De otra forma, te
Other
quedas
ways, you stay
con el Dios
with the God
que
that
condena.
condemns.
Nace una
A
flor,
flower is born
todos los días
every
sale
day
el
the
sol.
sun comes out.
De vez en cuando
Every now and
escuchas
then
aquella
you hear
voz
that voice
como de pan gustoso
as
de
of a
cantar
delicious
en
bread,
los aleros
delicious
de la
to
mente
sing
con las chicharras.
in the balconies of the mind with the cicadas, but in turn also a transformer exists which consumes the best of you. He throws you back and demands more and more, and there comes a point in which you no longer want to.
Mama,
Suck
la
at the
libertad
liberty's breast.
siempre
You will
la
always
llevarás
carry her
dentro de
within the
tu
heart.
Te
They
pueden
may
corromper,
corrupt you.
te
You
pueden
may
desorientar,
even forget,
pero ella
but
siempre
she is always there.
Ayer
Yesterday,
soñé
I had a
con
dream
los hambrientos,
with the
los
hungries, the
locos,
crazies,
los que fueron
those who left, the dead,
los
the
olvidados,
forgotten,
los perdidos,
the lost,
los
the
cristianos,
Christians, the Jews,
los
the
musulmanes,
Muslims,
los
the
ateos,
atheists,
toda la raza humana
all of the human race,
que está en prisión.
which are in prison.
Hoy desperté
Today, I rose singing this song, which is necessary to sing it
una vez
one
más.
more time, which has been written a long time ago.
Y es
And it
necesario
is
otra
necessary
vez volver.
once again to sing it one more time. And the song of today is,
Yo soy mi único
I am my
Dios.
only God.
He dejado de creer en el
I no longer believe in the Father.
Ahora creo.
No, I believe in the Son.
El que cree en
He
el
that
Padre
believeth in the Father,
todavía está en el Dios
he
que
is still in the God that condemns. He that believeth in the Son
ha pasado
has passed
de muerte y
from death and
condenación
condemnation
a vida.
unto life.
Semper
Semper Fi.
el
The
destino
destiny It is written. The end is inevitable. The end is inevitable. They were competing with me here. God, the true God, there's no doubt about it, is Argentinian. And it's Abokathan. And it is the Son. Let's go the eternal truth. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live, or we swear with glory to die. But today, if you have decided to believe in the Son, you have passed from death unto life. And you're still believing in the Father, then you're still under the God that condemns. And the wrath of that God is upon you. Hallelujah to every one of you. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to say I like if you are grateful for this subject, and if you want to collaborate with this ministry, you're welcome to do so. The only way that we can survive as long as this is fulfilled, and that you become associates of the Son, precisely the associates of the Son. The other thing is that don't forget to comment, because I love that you comment. Something else too is that you're all invited to sign. Those of you that have not signed last year, there's anyone new that says I didn't know, I have decided I want to sign. Those that we signed is a document that said all the guilt is upon Yahweh, not us. It's Yahweh's to blame. We blamed him for everything. We're about to fulfill 1 year in this Yom Kippur, and we're upon the feasts. Next week I'll speak a little bit more about them, but you know that we're going to celebrate, that we're not going to celebrate Tabernacles, so God, everyone can work during the Feast of Tabernacles with no problem. You can work, study. We just respect the weekly Shabbats, and we'll do an asado when it initiates. We're going to sound the trumpet in Yom Kippur, because that announces our message. We celebrate it because it's got to do with us. If it had to do with God, we wouldn't even give it the time. Look, not the least attention, because I no longer live under the God that condemns. I live because I believe in the Son of Man. And the feasts are for the Son of Man, or they're not feasts. So then, remember Tabernacles, we're not going to celebrate them. They're not sacred. It is the experience that we're living now here. No more than that. During Yom Kippur, we're going to eat. We're going to eat delicious food. We're not going to fast. Yom Teruah, we're going to sound the trumpet, because it's our message. It's like saying the trumpet represents us. And those are the feasts of Yahweh. We shall meet again next Shabbat. Hallelujah to every one of you. Be very much blessed, those who believe in the Son, because you have passed unto life, leaving back the God that condemns. Hallelujah. Semper Fi.